Dynasty Talk 2 Electric Boogaloo. Well, somewhat. Hey guys, this is JoAnn speaking here, and welcome to Paleo Reviews. Back in September 2024, I uploaded a video where I reviewed Netflix's Life on Our Planet, and now fasting forward to March 2026, a new miniseries has been released in the form of Netflix's The Dinosaurs. Before I start talking about The Dinosaurs, I'm going to recap my thoughts on the other series, Life on Our Planet. It was an okay series. It is entertaining in numerous spots. I like the music and seeing the animals, both present and extinct, and I like Morgan Freeman as narrator. But at the same time, this program slapped my face repeatedly with the dynasty talk. The format is a mess, some moments are eyebrow-raising, and the show made some of the animals, both dead and alive, look like idiots. Considering how I felt about Netflix's Life on Our Planet, I was very concerned with the miniseries The Dinosaurs, but let's go ahead and dive in. Netflix's The Dinosaurs is a miniseries that was released on March 6, 2026. This was done by the same people behind Life on Our Planet. Morgan Freeman returns as the narrator, and Steven Spielberg returns as the executive producer. The Dinosaurs goes over the rise and fall of the dinosaurs, while it also shows different extinction events. I watched all 4 episodes, and honestly, I actually really enjoyed this one. It wasn't that bad in my opinion. There's still some stuff that makes me gripe though, but The Dinosaurs was a much more pleasant experience. When you're making a dinosaur documentary in this modern age, there's one thing to remember. It is to be expected to have people who have high expectations. It is understandable though, especially when you're studying paleontology, because certain things can and will hurt a documentary if not careful, especially when documentaries are expected to be educational. Netflix's The Dinosaurs didn't 100% learn all the lessons from Life on Our Planet, but I still call this an improvement, and it could have been a whole lot worse. Dynasty. Can you please not play that again? Alright, so the first thing I like is that the pacing here is much better. Netflix's Life on Our Planet was all over the place, and it just couldn't make up its mind on what time period it wanted to focus on, and it wouldn't stop jumping cuts between the past and the present day. With The Dinosaurs, it stayed directly where it needed to be, focusing on both the animals and the previous extinctions. For the most part, it went from the beginning to the end. Another thing I enjoyed is the intro. The shots of the large Spinosaurus, Stegosaurus, and Brachiosaurus rising from the ground, along with the ethereal and epic music playing in the background, it felt like I was watching a group of dinosaur gods rising from the earth. I like seeing dinosaur documentaries being creative with their intros. It makes me feel sad though that the Walking with Dinosaurs reboot didn't try out something like that. Another thing I liked are the choices of dinosaurs. Of course we have some of the most familiar ones, but we got a bunch of new kids on the block here. And I will say, there are plenty of them that caught my attention. Heterodontosaurus is one of my favorites, and it is so gosh darn cute! I really enjoyed seeing several obscure sauropods, including Volcanodon and Magyarosaurus. I was surprised to see Lilian Sternus, but the appearance of it was welcoming. Seeing this dinosaur brought back memories for me because I saw this dinosaur when I was watching the Walking with Dinosaurs The Live Experience show many years ago. I enjoyed seeing Eutyrannus in this show. Mamenchisaurus and Procompsognathus were surprising additions, but considering Steven Spielberg is involved with the show, it makes sense in a way. Oh, and by the way, I really appreciate seeing Spinosaurus getting more love and attention rather than just be remembered as that one dinosaur who killed the T-Rex in Jurassic Park 3. While I am impressed with the dinosaur roster in The Dinosaurs, maybe this show could have squeezed in a bit more room for more Triassic animals, but that's just me. Netflix's The Dinosaurs also have decent looking designs. For the most part. I'll get to that once I talk about my dislikes. As for some of my favorite designs, the Amontosaurus looks much better. It no longer looks like a reskinned Maiasaura. I like the big scaly bumps around the neck too. I also like the new T-Rex design, and I'm glad that the rows of teeth were fixed. The Heterodontosaurus design is so cute. The design for Hesagopteryx was a sight to behold. I like how he gave off vibes of a vulture or a turkey. Last but not least, the return of Dilophosaurus. Wow, what a huge coincidence here. When I did a review on Hunted by Moonlight back in October, I talked about wanting to see Dilophosaurus again in a dinosaur documentary. Fasting forward to when the Dinosaurs came out, my wish was granted. Design-wise, both the male and the female look solid. Interesting color choices too, and at least the show made the dinosaur a big animal, just like in the fossil record. Thank goodness no frills or venom. I also like that they showed a different behavior instead of showing the dinosaur just hunting only. Even though Dilophosaurus was only on screen for at least 5 minutes, I still appreciate the dinosaurs giving this animal a much needed spotlight. And I said this before in my Hunted by Moonlight video, but people really need to get to know the real animal rather than just let its Jurassic Park counterpart overshadow it. Yes, the frilled Dilophosaurus is a classic, but you can't take it literally. In the end, seeing Dilophosaurus again in a documentary after so many years gave me more hope on this dinosaur getting much more proper appreciation. Even though I enjoy the show more than Netflix's Life on Our Planet, it is not without some of the problems I have. The first problem, the superior narrative. Oh boy. Remember when I said Netflix's The Dinosaurs didn't 100% learn all the lessons from Life on Our Planet? This is an example. Remember the whole dynasty narrative that Life on Our Planet slapped viewers in the face with? The narrative where a species evolves to be superior to another species? Well, it's happened again. The dinosaurs unfortunately kept this outdated narrative. I've said this once and I'll say it again. All living beings, including the dinosaurs, are not trying to take over the world or be superior to another species. They are only trying to live their lives and survive. However, there is something I will appreciate though. The dynasty/superior narrative is far less obnoxious in the dinosaurs. With Life on Our Planet, it's just, well, dynasty this, dynasty that. While I'm glad they toned it down, I still wish they stopped that narrative altogether. Now on to problem number 2. Some of the designs in this show. Remember when I said that the designs of these animals were decent and I said quote unquote for the most part? Well, I'm going to bring up designs that didn't work for me. First off, it's funny how this show gave dinosaurs like Edmontosaurus glow-ups, yet they can't bother fixing dinosaurs like Triceratops or Allosaurus. The design for Triceratops is not the worst, but it looks a little bit bland in my opinion, and I really wish the coloring was better. And as for Allosaurus, as someone whose favorite large carnivore is Allosaurus, this hurts. They still would not stop using the Battle at Big Rock design. Yes, it's modified, but it's not excusable and it gets distracting. Why not have Allosaurus look like this, or even that? Although that one female Allosaurus with a wound on her mouth? Yeesh! That's gnarly. Also, maybe it's me, but the Sinraptor design was also distracting because it kept giving me vibes of the Giganotosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. And again, much like the Allosaurus and the Triceratops, it did not get a glow up. And if I had to pick the worst design in my opinion, well, Tanystropheus. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is Tanystropheus. I don't like it. It felt like I was looking at a dragon/monster-like creature rather than a natural animal. Heck, it also reminds me of something you would see from the movie 65 from 2023. This design's more fitting for a fantasy/alien setting, not a documentary. I think I prefer the Tanystropheus from Sea Monsters and the one from the video game Path of Titans. That's the second problem I have, and now to the third and final problem. The Dinosaurs has the same exact problem as Prehistoric Planet Ice Age. Numerous species not being named. I've been seeing numerous dinosaurs appear on screen, and whether I'm familiar with a certain species or not, I would like to hear their identities, so naturally I got slightly peeved. Edmontosaurus appears, but Morgan Freeman just calls it a hadrosaur. Remember that giant pterosaur that ate one of the baby Edmontosaurus? I was assuming that was a Quetzalcoatlus after it was just called a pterosaur. That is until I looked it up and saw that it is this one right here. I figured this guy right here was a nodosaur by the looks of the armor, but this show didn't even say what the name of it was. And also, I kept thinking to myself, what are these bizarre little pterosaurs? Much like what I said in my Prehistoric Planet Ice Age video, there are plenty of people who are curious on the actual names of these animals. Now I'm going to pick some of my favorite scenes, and for this list, I'm going to pick out 5, not in any particular order. I love the scene with the Heterodontosaurus, and this dinosaur is definitely one of my favorite new dinosaurs being added in a documentary. And the part where it was using its cheek mouth like a squirrel, it was so cute. And can we talk about that scene where the mother Edmontosaurus rushes in and beats the literal daylights out of that pterosaur after it ate one of her babies? My freaking word, that was priceless. Don't mess with hadrosaurs, especially ones who are parents. The Hexagotrix scene was intense. Looking back at that scene, it kinda gave me vibes of Jurassic Park 3 with the fog. T-Rex versus Ankylosaurus was one heck of an epic and fun scene to watch, and it's also ironic too, considering what happened at the end of the final episode of Walking with Dinosaurs. I really enjoyed watching Spinosaurus hunting and how it used bait as a way to lure in prey. In conclusion, this was a fun watch in my opinion. Even with some problems I mentioned, I still feel like Netflix's The Dinosaurs kept me invested the whole time, and I highly recommend it, especially if you're disappointed with the other show called Life on Our Planet. If you can tolerate some of the flaws, then it might be the right show for you, especially if you're someone like me who loves dinosaurs. Despite several eyebrow-raising designs, an outdated narrative still lingering, and several species not being named, this show has a more stable format, epic and ethereal music, great special effects, eye-popping visuals, and a satisfying dinosaur roster. Netflix's The Dinosaurs gets an 8.5 out of 10 sickle claws. By the way, they added a Wilhelm scream in this show very briefly. Yep, I am not making this crap up. That's something I least expected in a dinosaur documentary. If you're curious on where it is, it's during the part where it showed some sauropods falling off a cliff, although keep in mind, you'll have to listen very closely for it. And that's pretty much all I got for the day. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later in another video.